This conference will now be recorded.
Right, let's start today's session. The last session we were discussing about cookie management, and in today's session I'm going to start with session. So what is session? How to work with session? We'll discuss first. So session is the server-side state management technique. As we discussed in the last session, cookie that is completely client-side state management technique. But today I'm talking about session. It's completely server-side state management technique. It is not client-side. Session is the server-side state management technique. So there are a lot of methods are there in session. You have to concentrate more. Okay. So point number one is session is server-side state management technique. State management technique it is server-side. Means always session data stored in database only. It stores data on the server side and sends session ID to the cookies. Session will store the data Session will store the data on server and sends the session ID to cookies only. Yes. Suppose for the first time when we send request to the server. For example, look at this. This is the diagrammatic representation of this session. So here is the client. Okay. So client and server will be there here. Client and server. So this is client and here it is server. Client will send request to the server, that is first request. You can consider this is the request one. This is request one. Request one. I can show you. This is request one, sir. This is request one. And first time client when send request to the server. Okay. Once client sends request to the server, if server wants to remember client information for the future purpose, then server will create a session object and store required information in that object. So whatever we are sending request from the client here, and if any server wants to store the client requested information for further usage, session will create an object called session object. This is called session object only. Session objects are session object it will create. Okay. So who will create? Server will create session object for storing the client requested data here. Next, once server is completing process, server need to give the response. Okay. The response along with the session ID it will come along with session ID. Okay. For every session object is having a unique identifier which is nothing but session ID. Server sends the session ID to the client as a response. Along with response, session ID also will be sent to the client. And this session ID will come to the client place. In the client place, in the cookies only, session ID will store. Here it is, cookies are there, no client side. In cookies, session ID will come and store here. What will be stored in the cookies? Session ID, not session data. Strictly remember, session data will not at all available in cookies. Cookies are having only session ID only, which is coming from server. Once again, I'm telling you, as I said, that server is a sorry, session is a server-side state management technique. Once client is sending request to the server, okay, if server wants to remember this client information for future purpose, then server will create a object called as session object and store the required information in that object only. For every session object is having a unique ID known as session ID. Server will create every session object one unique ID that is called session ID. While giving response to the client, server will give response with session ID. That session ID will come and stored into cookies format in the client only. Next time when user send request to the server, second request, okay, second request is already visited request. So along with the request, session ID also will be travel. Along with request plus session ID also will be travel, session ID. Based on this session ID, server easily can remember your request and it will process the data quickly. This is what happening here in the server side state management technique. First request is always new request. Request is processed by server. If server wants to remember this request information, it will create a for this request data session object. Session object can have the required information, and for every session object it will create one session ID. While giving response to the client along with session ID, server will give response to the client. And that session ID will stored always in the browser location cookies only. Cookies contains only session ID. Cookies do not contain any session data. Session data always at the database side only. All session data will stored in a separate table. That table name is Django underscore session table. In this table, session information will be there. This is the default table will create automatically. No need to create a separate table here. Okay. Next time, whenever client sending request to the server, next request, then client will collect the session ID from cookies. That ID through he can communicate with server. This by observing session ID, server can easily recognize your request clearly. That is going to be happen here. Okay. So this is how exactly session management is going to work. So session is the server side state management technique. Its session will store the data on server and sends the session ID to the cookies only. Cookies contain a session ID, not session data. Cookies contain a session ID, not session data, sir. Session data not. Cookies contain only session ID. It's not session data. Okay. By
Sir,
default, DJ.
but cookies are deleted immediately. You told no?
No, no.
How
Cookies
the
are.
data will be?
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying. Cookies are deleted immediately. Only cookies. But once it is integrated with session ID time period is 14 days. 14 days will be there. Cookies will not be deleted in that context.
okay, sir. Thank
Cookies contain a session ID, not session data. By default, Django session stores in database. By default, Django stores sessions in database only. What database table? Django underscore session. So by default, by default, Django sessions stored in database. In database. What is the table means? Django underscore session table is there. I'll tell you this also. This is already there. No need to create. If in case any other editor you are using apart from PyCharm editor, Visual Studio like that, we have to use this table creation also. And the default time period of so Django sessions are completely cookie based only. Django sessions are completely what based, cookie based. Without cookies, sessions will not work properly. Always sessions management integrated with cookies only completely. So cookies also required to work with session properly. The default time period of session is 14 days. As I said that default time period of session is 14 days. That means we have to say 2 weeks. 2 weeks time it will be stored. So this is about session information with how session is going to work also. Session ID always travel between client and server response. So some session methods are there. First basic method I'm trying to discuss. After that we will go through other methods also. So to add data to the session, first one is if you want to add any data to the session, syntax is like this. What is the syntax means? This is add data to the session. This is very simple. Request dot session of what actually key again. Key compulsory and then value is compulsory. Value means what data you are going to add to the session. If you want to add data to the session, this is the syntax here. Request dot session of key equals to value. Fine. Next, to retrieve the data from session, to get the data from session, not only adding, I want to get the data from session. To get the data from session, what is the syntax means? Reverse syntax. So same syntax we can use reversely. Value equals to, because you are receiving, from where you are receiving request dot session same, then what we have to use? Key only. This is exactly value equals to request dot session of key. Look at this. This syntax is completely reverse or not? If you want to add any data, right side value should assign to the session of key. Key through we have to add. If you want to get the data from session, what from where we are getting request dot session of cookie key, request dot session of key, that value will be stored here. This value we have to use it. Right now these two methods only I am discussing. Later we'll go for other methods also. How to get session expiry time in age, expiry time in date, all these things we will also discuss once. Okay, once I start practical implementation. So start procedure now. So it's all about session details and how it will work. Okay, where it will store everything. So let's prepare the practical implementation. So to do this, I'm just creating a new application, Python space manage.py start app. So session app, I'm giving my application name is session app. Python space manage.py start app session app. So now you can see session app is clearly available. Once session app is available, just go to your project settings and you can include that session app into installed app. So I'm including that into installed app. So this is session app. Session app. Now close this. Now focus on session app only now. So session app is there. This is session app. Let's go to view section and we are focusing on view only. So first I'm trying to create a first view. I want to create a set session. So df set underscore session current request. How to set the session? You can same request dot session of key equal to Durga. So just I'm taking request dot session of key is what actually name equals to what name you want. You can use that. Okay, any name. Just let's go for uh, Hyderabad. I'm giving. Now I can take city. So session key is what? City here. Value is what? Hyderabad only. Got my point? Yes. So I need to render this page into set.html. So rendering means obviously we have to use return render current request, then set.html already we prepared. Okay, set.html. So in this set.html, what I'm trying to use, session has set like that. In the templates folder, go to set.html. In this set.html, session is set. Okay, this I want to do. Let's go to view section. I want to execute this view. I want to show you first of all the session table. Sir, where is the session table? You said that sessions by default will store in database. That too, what is the default table name? Django underscore session. Okay. So complete session data, session ID, session expiry, date and time, all these things will be available in where? Django session only. Got my point? Django session. This table contain complete information about session. But where is this table? Look at this. So right hand side there is a database option is there. Okay. So look at this Django underscore session by default available. No need to do any migrate and migrate automatically will come by default all tables. But the first time when we do migration automatically it will come Django underscore session. Just right click on it and simply edit data. So the moment when I click on edit data, you will get some default session. Now we can see session underscore key, session data, expiry date. We don't have any information so far. Okay. So this information, whenever we create the session ID will be here, session actual data will be here, but that to encrypted format. Expiry date also will be here. I'll show you. Okay, this is the exactly database location, session database location, Django underscore session. So let's try to set the session. How to set the session and we'll see. To set the session, we need to execute this set underscore session. To execute this, what we need to do, we need to set the URLs. So I'm trying to set the URL session app, go to new and just a Python file I'm creating. Session app, right click, go to new Python file. So urls.py. So here from django.urls import path from session app import views story or else URL patterns equals to path I'm taking, then views dot what actually set session is my current view. Okay, let me go with set only. Later we have to use get also. Naming is important. After completion of this, what we need to do, we need to include this into project level URLs. So let's include project level URLs also. This was my last application cookie count slash, and let's include this path and no name I'm giving, include, then this
Sir,
is
it's
what,
page count, sir. Cookie page count.
it's not a matter, just I'm giving name and
Okay.
make it avoid this. When you
Okay.
want to execute this one, cookie count also you can give. It's not a proper name, not required. So session app dot URLs I'm giving URLs. Now this is currently working with this URL. So let's start the server. But before start the server, let's go to Microsoft Edge browser, which is recommend now. Even Google Chrome also you can use. Now in this, I'm trying to create my all cookies I want to try to remove so that it can be easily find our cookies location. What is that session data is there or session ID is there, you will find now. So let me make clear all these cookies, unwanted cookies here, all the cookies previously what I have. So it is completely looking fresh. This Django, what we can say cookie location. Fine. Let's begin the server now. To begin the server, Python space manage.py run server. Now let me copy this link and go to Edge browser. Look at this. I'm trying to go to Edge browser. I'm opening new tab and placing this. I'm trying to set set. Once I set, what is happening? Session is set. But session after setting, do you want to check the session details here? Look at this. Go to other tab. Let's cookies tab. Now there is one cookie is there. Yes. Then what is this cookie related 127.0.0.1 means our request only. Expand this. That by default cookie name is what? Session ID. Now you can see name of the cookie name is session ID. This is content. Content means don't think so. It is a data. It's not a session data. I said clearly. Cookies always store what? Session ID, not session data. This is session ID only. Even if you go to database table, there this ID only will be there. But domain of the domain is 127.0.0.1 localhost. Now observe carefully. Expires date. Expires. Today I just created this Tuesday, April 4. The default time for session cookie is what? Tuesday, April 18th. Means what? 14 days. The default time period of the session is what? 14 days, I said clear. 14 days, that is 2 weeks. If you don't delete, this will be stay 14 days for your request and response. Even forcefully in the middle only, today only, if you want to delete, you can delete also, not a problem. Okay, but it will stay 14 days. But here it will delete, but it will not delete in the database. Let me show you database file here now. What is there in this? Look at this. As I said that always session data store in Django sessions table. Refresh it. Now observe carefully. Session key is what actually this is. This key started with PD, ended with FQ. This key is same as here or not. So this is not actual content. This is the key. But where is session data? Session data always stored into where? Database. Session data is this one. This data also will not be available. Now we can see here this is not available. This is actually session data. But observe carefully, session expiry date what? 2023-04-18 means April 18 it will expire. Okay, so this is what time is not showing properly because of in my project UTC time is not setting well. That's what it's going to be showed different time only. But date is, you can see this correct only. But I cannot able to show you properly this session table, okay, by expanding and all these things, so that I can show you this session table again into my DB browser for SQLite 3. So that will be easy for us. So DB browser for SQLite 3, you know that already in my very beginning sessions I discussed. DB browser is a separate tool for managing your SQLite tables. When I open it now, you can see this DB browser for SQLite table. I'm going to manage open database, and after that, where is your project location? You can go to there, and that my project location is present in where? In desktop, this PC, C drive, just a moment, users, Mohan, and then desktop, and then Django 630M, 630M. Then now you can see here db.sqlite 3. Okay, then SQLite 3 database, Django underscore session table. I need to go with browse. Now here I can show you the enough space is there. That's what I can show you clear data here. Session ID, same thing. Session data. This is session data here. It's not available. Okay, this is what setting the session, and default time period of the session is session data is 40 days. Even when we close the browser window also, it will be there for how many days? 14 days, no problem at all. So this is set session is clearly available where it is going to store. Next procedure is what's our get session or not. Yes, I want to get the session data. How to get the session data means simple. One more view I'm preparing now, get session data. Here also some problem you face while getting, in case someone is deleted the session, then that will not going to be reflected. Okay, that is by default. Let's show you that. Get underscore session of request. How to get the session? I said value equals to request dot session of key only. Same. Okay. For example, so what is that? My value equals to session data equals to, okay, request dot session of what is your key of the session city. So we are bringing the session data by using this key, that is Hyderabad value will come and stored into here session data. This session data I need to send it to where? HTML page. How to send this into HTML page? We'll see this. So return render current request, comma, get.html. That's I want to send this session data colon session data. Oh, this is dictionary dictionary context key session data. So we need to prepare what? Get.html page. So in this get.html page, we are going to accept this session data only. So let's have the get.html page. Already we have prepared already get.html also. So in this get.html, previous this is cookie data. Now this time I'm trying to do session data is session underscore data update. This context key which is coming from dictionary. Okay. Now let's execute this one. To execute this one, we have to set the URL also. Let me set this URL. So get slash I'm taking then views dot what actually get session. So get underscore session. Fine. Let's restart the server. Now already I have a session data directly. Can I go for get or not? Or is that required to set again? Tell me. Already I set the session. Can I go with directly get? If I
Yes,
go
sir.
with directly get, yes, possible. Get is possible because already I have set the session. So directly I can go with what? Get session. Look at this. I'm copying this get session data is Hyderabad. Suppose, look at this. Whenever the moment when I try to delete this session data, okay, even though it is having 14 days time period here, okay, even though 14 days time period is there, but when I try to delete this session data, so look at this, I'm deleting. After deleting, you can see the session table also. So before deleting, this much of data is their content, but after deleting, you can refresh it. Now you can see there is no impact on it. So why? Because here this session ID, it is there in the database also. It will not delete. It will expire. Okay, it will expire only 18th. Django session table forcefully we cannot delete. Expired sessions we can delete, but cookie is not there with related to this session. Okay, this relevant ID deleted from cookies or not? Yes, that's what whenever we try to get the data, even in the Django underscore session table also you can observe here. This is our session data. Whenever I refresh here, now we can see there is no affecting here. Okay, fine. So what is deleted? Just session ID deleted. Once you delete session ID, what is going to happen when we try to get this? You will get key error, obviously. There is no session ID. As I said that in this diagram, notice this. When we send request to the server, first request server will create a session ID. Along with session ID, we are getting response from the server. In the client, session ID is going to store in the cookie. But next time, whenever we send, when we try to get the data along with this session ID, we are retrieving the data easily. But right now I deleted session ID from the cookies. But there is no session ID, but you are attempting to get the session data that will give key error. So in case if session ID is not there, if you are attempting to get the data, obviously key error is there. How to avoid this error also? In the cookie concept also I discussed clearly. If the session key is there, value will come. But if the session key is not there, something need to be come. So that is what I'm taking here. Session underscore data equals to request dot session dot get method is there with the key. If the key is there, it's okay. If the key is not there, default message I want to display no session data like that. So this is alternative mechanism apart from this one. So session data equals to request dot session dot get method, request dot session dot get method. The session key is city and the default message if this key is not there at database side, if someone is deleted session ID in the cookies, so no session data is available. This message I want to display now. Now this time you can see if I try to restart the server, even I am not going to set the session directly. If I try to get the session, you don't get any key error. Why? Because we have written the program like that way. So now I'm trying to get the session directly. So we got this no session data. But whenever we set the session, it is possible or not? Yes. Look at this. I'm setting the session. Session is set. But the question is this create a new session ID? Previously it was deleted. No, I just deleted. I'm asking you, is this create new session ID?
The ID is not deleted at database, so that's why I think it is old session.
No, new session ID. ID is delete. Yes, absolutely. The ID was not deleted from the database. It's there. It's stored there. Remains stored. But that ID is not there in the cookies. No, got my point. Whenever I try to set, I'm setting a new request. It is the ID is not there with me. How this request get the same session ID? Got my point or not? So that's what it will create a new session ID. Look at this. I'm refreshing this browser also. The session ID name is session ID. This content is new session ID is there. Again, it is having expiry date. Again, 14 days more. Now you can see in the Django session storage. Now new session ID created starting with the 34 ending with the VU. Even in this Django underscore session table also new session ID created. New session ID it is. So new session ID is created. Now this time you can see when we get the data here, because session ID is there, I'm trying to get the data easily. It is possible. Get the data. Session data is Hyderabad. Okay. Yes. So this is what setting the session and getting the session. Okay. Setting the session and getting the session. But just observe here. Can't we delete the session data from your code? Okay. Without from your code, like set session is okay, get session is okay. I want to delete the session data. Can't we delete the session data here? Yes, we can delete the session data. How to delete the session data? We'll see now. So I'm trying to do L underscore session. This is session data only deletes are session key not deleted. Just observe carefully. L underscore session request. But I'm trying to say that if city is what? Session ID. Session key. If city is in request dot session, if city is the requested session, then I want to delete this session del space request dot session of what is that city. This I want to delete. And in the return response, return render current request, what I am trying to do del.html, del.html. Del.html page also there with me. Already we created in this del.html session data has deleted. Session data is deleted. So I want to set this URLs also delete session data also del underscore session. Now in the urls.py I'm trying to set the path. So I'm trying to give this del slash views dot del session com. So set session, get session, del session data here. But observe here before deleting, I have right now in my Django session table, two session IDs are there. Even in this DB browser for SQLite 3 also, two session IDs are there. But just to closely observe, this much of content is there. Here data is also there. But how it is deleted, currently we are working with this session ID. Here we have to observe this data. Okay. So let's start the server now by going to terminal window. So how it is, just observe. Control C, Python space manage.py run server. I'm copying this link and go to browser. And here I'm trying to do what actually? Paste it. Paste it. Now I'm trying to get the session data. Session data is get. Okay. So no need to set. Now you can see again here same data ID is there or not. Session ID, same ID. But I am trying to, before deleting, you can observe carefully. Before deleting, you can observe carefully. Before deleting in this database, session data is ended with some code like B6PFT8 is there. Okay. Now I'm trying to delete the session data. So look at this here. CT ID is there. I want to delete this session data. Session data has deleted. After deleted session data, whenever we try to get this, what will happen? No session data is there or not? Yes. But what it is deleted? Do you think it is deleted session ID? No, sir, it's not deleted session ID. Session ID still it is there. But this ID relevant data is not there in the database table. Look at this. Before deleting, this is there. Once I refresh this session data deleted after, this is code is generated. ID is same. Something is gone. Data is deleted. Got my point? Suppose after setting now, okay, after setting now, just I'm trying to set this now. We can see set. Now it is setting or not? Data is set or not? Data is set means after that you can see this is before setting the data. Let's refresh this. Same session ID. Something is generated or not? This is session data. This session data is there. Then we try to what? Get the data now. So we can easily get the data now. So get the data. Hyderabad is there. So what you understand in this context? We are deleting the session data when if this session key in request dot session, that session data relevant key through, I'm deleting the session data in the session store Django underscore session table, and we are displaying del.html. Del.html is having just information session data has deleted. So ID is there still, but session data is gone from the database store, session data store. That's what we are getting, what? No session data. If this key through data is there, it is coming. If no data is there, then we are displaying what? Actually no session data is displaying like this. This is very simple. Okay. Old ID we cannot get. That is completely expired. You cannot get old ID, undoubtedly. But sir, if it is expired, why it is going to be stored in the session storage still? Yes, all expired sessions also, even 14 days also after April 18 also, you can able to see sometimes this session storage here. That session storage, expired sessions we can delete. There is a method is there, cleared expired method is there. Cleared expired means expired sessions are already there in the session store. Do you want to completely clear the expired sessions? There is a mechanism called sessions clear expired method is there, that we can apply automatically, that will be deleted. Okay. But now what I want to do, this is about session setting, getting, storing, and everything. We got clarity here. Next, what I'm trying to do, default time period of session is what? 14 days I said. Okay, here we are looking 14 days time only. But I want to get the session age. How to get the session age? There are few methods are there. Okay, few methods. If you want to set the expiry time for session also, we can set. How to set it later I'll discuss, but I want to get this expiry age in seconds. So one more method is there, sir. Here you can see, to get session expiry age in seconds. To get session expiry age in seconds, I want to get. Seconds means 14 days, you can convert into seconds. How many seconds are there? That many seconds result will come. I want to get session expiry age in seconds. Okay, what is the method means to get session expiry age in seconds means request dot session dot get underscore expiry underscore age. We have to use request dot session dot get underscore expiry underscore age. This method
Is
is
these methods are predefined methods or
predefined only. Predefined, these are all predefined only. Get underscore expire underscore age is a predefined method. We are not creating any method. Already built-in methods are there. Sir, I don't want to get session expiry age in seconds. I want to get session expiry date. How to get the session expiry date? To get the session expiry date I want to get. So on which date it is going to expire, I want to know clearly. So for that, what is required means request dot session dot get underscore expiry underscore date we have to use. If you want to get the session expiry date, we use this method, get underscore expire underscore date. Do you want to get session expiry age in seconds? Get underscore expire underscore age. Let me apply these two methods. while getting the session data also. So in the get session process, I want to go with this one only. In the get session process, I want to go with this one. How to use this one, we'll see in the get session only. So I want to get uh, what we can say expiry age in seconds. So now I'm trying to use one more parameter, session age equals to request dot session dot get underscore expiry underscore age. Okay, session age. This time what I'm trying to get, expiry age in seconds we are getting. Okay, session age in seconds. Session age I'm taking. We will get age only. Next, one more context also we can create. Session underscore date. Session date means session expiry date. Request dot session dot get underscore expiry date. These two methods will return what? Expiry age in seconds, it will store here. Expiry date, it will store here. These two also I need to send it to where? Get.html. So we have to send multiple context or not? Yes. I'm sending multiple context session underscore age colon session age comma one more context I'm sending session underscore date. What is that? Session date. Whatever I included, that I'm sending. Multiple context, session date I'm sending, session age I'm sending, session date I'm sending. But in this get.html, I have not used session underscore age, session underscore date also. Let's use this. So right now I'm taking what? H1 section again. This is first one, session data. Next one, what actually? Session age in seconds. Session age in seconds. Session underscore age. Next H1 section, what I'm taking? Session age, session expiry date. Just better to take expiry date. Session underscore date. So all these things we are using. While when you will get all these details, whenever you try to get the session, then your session expiry age in seconds you will get, your expiry date also you will get according to this Django underscore session table date format. Let's copy this link and paste into Microsoft Edge again. Now you can see I'm trying to use this link, try to get this session. Now you can see session data is Hyderabad, session age in seconds 14 days equals to 12 lakhs 9,600 seconds. Session expiry date, look at this, April 18, 2023. But this time you just avoid this because according to my Django project settings, the time is not correctly set, UTC now time zone. So this you can forget. Later I'll show you how to set the time zone in the settings.py. UTC now time format is there. According to our Indian standard time, I have to set that. But date is clearly available. April 18, 2023. It is going to expire the date. This is session date, all these things. So this is complete basic information which is related to session. Like
Sir,
this, we have to
sir,
discuss more. Tell me,
sir, if
tell
multiple
me.
sessions are there in the Django session table means how it will
Hmm.
retrieve, sir?
How will retrieve in the sense? From
Like
which view we are going to execute, which view we are going to execute. See, cookies are domain based or not? Just tell me. Cookies are domain based. Domain based means for
so,
which request it has been created, for that request only cookie through it can identify the session. Separate. You are creating other view session is there completely. That session ID will capture the data. Every session
can
ID,
you
that's
show
what
example?
unique ID. See, every
Sir, if
session ID is
possible,
a
can you show the
hmm,
multiple two or more sessions with like showing if possible?
see, see, that's what I'm saying, that one request, one session ID is there. No, multiple requests can you send at a time?
Hmm.
We cannot send our location, but multiple users, multiple requests can send. But every user will come with session ID. That's what I have previously. I used this session ID. Now this time I'm using this session ID. In the view section, one more method you can take, action method like view. That purpose, one more session ID will create. Session ID will be unique. Every request will have the session ID. One request, multiple session IDs we cannot use. Only unique ID is going to be created, because unnecessarily server will get confused whether need to be request processed by old session ID and new session ID. So that's what session ID clearly we have to be unique only.
And if we in that satisfaction method, you have passed only that one like one value. If you pass that
Where
multiple values means it will create that multiple
no,
like
that is
once
not
show that example
no,
like
not
city and
possible.
country and so on.
Not possible, I'm saying. See, at a time key should be unique. No, it is X. What is the syntax of session? Request dot session of key. Key should be unique. In dictionary,
And not
key is
not
what?
that not that contest, sir. If you pass that one more key and value like the same
One
like
more key.
request or
Obviously, that is possible. Why don't you? You can pass it to one more session key also. That will create one more ID. But that's it. That key should be unique. You are asking me to create separate possible. Multiple session IDs will create. Why not? But that's not recommend. No. If you maintain the unique key, how many sessions you want, you can create by maintaining the unique key. Here you are asking city with one key, but later country
right,
with
sir.
one more session ID. That is possible. Why not? Because as long as key is unique, then new session ID will create automatically.
That one while getting that session also how we will
Getting the session
identify
also.
it, sir?
That's what we are passing key. No, here again key we are passing city. Getting the session. Next
Yes, sir.
time we have to use country only.
This get expiration, get expiration date, how we identify, sir? Which key we will take, sir? From which like city or country? If you pass that
Ah,
to city and a country,
that time whatever we are passing recently, for example city here is there, no, whenever we pass this
yes,
one,
sir.
that time recent call only there according to Python. Recent version is there. Recent one is what actually country. If you are passing this kind of cookie, date expiration date will come, not both. Recent call only. That's what actually the plan is wrong. We are not going to work with one request multiple sessions. That is wrong first of all. But it will create unique key. If you maintain, it will create. So this is about basic information. There are a lot of more functions are there. Okay, so there is a chance to get a lot of confusion here in the especially session management, but I don't want to make you more confused. Just keep it here, this information, and practice it today, and tomorrow we'll extend this logics into again with a different style of coding with a lot of methods. Yesterday you said that cookies example Gmail open and close like yes, exactly where session ID store for Gmail. For our request, session ID will be there. Yes, Gmail request, and not only Gmail, any sensitive information when we supply username and password. First time your username and password will go and cross verified with the database, while coming session ID will store in the cookies. Next time when we send the request, session ID through it will travel. Then data always compare with session store only at server side. That is correct. Gmail integrated with cookies with session only. So whether your browser supports cookies or not also we have to test. That we will look into in the next session tomorrow.